I don't think that there's any use in pretending that, oh, yeah, I mean, this is a 50-50 primary. Okay, obviously, the odds of Bernie Sanders winning are incredibly long. But this is a guy who's a United States senator. He has a tremendously distinguished record. And incidentally, people point out that Bernie's talking about, this is where Hillary Clinton's trying to be, in front of the ball on inequality. There on, the collapse of the middle class, poverty, trade agreements, things like the TPP are getting more criticism. There's a growing recognition, certainly amongst younger generations, that the global climate crisis is the defining issue of our time. Well, you know what? Bernie Sanders has been saying this stuff his entire political career. He's been right about everything. You talk about trend forecasting. You talk about being future-oriented. Bernie Sanders was talking about this stuff in the 1990s when we were riding on a tech bubble and when the Republicans were savaging and literally trying to just outsource government to corporations, which is, of course, what they've continued to do. They've even just gotten worse. And all too many Democrats were, releasing ridiculous treatises on, the real reason that, the LA riots happened. Mark Ames had this great piece chronicling, the horrific racism of people like Ron Paul in relation to the LA riots in 1992, but also John Kerry and Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and that whole sort of democratic embrace of the death penalty and mass incarceration and, the same things that everybody's laughing about Rand Paul, and rightfully so, for saying about Baltimore like he did the other day, last week, that, this is about absent fathers. Big name Democratic politicians were saying this stuff in the 90s when that was trendy to say. Bernie Sanders never was. He was always talking about the real issues. And let's listen to this George Stephanopoulos clip about Bernie and whether or not he can win and how to take his candidacy, because I think Bernie Sanders actually handles this question very well as well. Let's take a listen to that.
Yes, he does.
It's good. Let's take a listen to this.
Most people don't believe you can actually become president of the United States. Are you worried at all that your race might weaken Hillary Clinton without helping yourself?
Well, let me just say this about my political career. I think few would argue that it is the most unusual political career in the United States Senate. Nobody thought that I would be elected mayor of Burlington, Vermont. Very few people thought that I would beat an incumbent Republican to become United States congressman from Vermont by 16 points. And people weren't so sure I could beat the richest person in Vermont to become a United States senator. So I would say, don't underestimate me.
I guess, George, shut the fuck up.
Nobody feel like I could kick your ass too, George. Watch me do it right now, buddy.
No one predicted that I would be able to put George Stephanopoulos in a headlock and make him cry uncle on national terrorism. Yeah.
Would be able to do that.
But I'm also from Brooklyn. And I swear to God, if you look at me sideways, I will punch you so hard. I like it. This is the Bernie bit.
This is great.
Bernie's just slit that swagger.
Badass Bernie
Sanders. Just leaning back. Really? No. Ask that question about my electoral viability again. No, go, George, please. It would be my pleasure to lay you flat on the fucking floor. I'll smack you so hard. You already spend 2 hours in makeup because you're a friggin' vain narcissist. You'll be there for 5 hours. When I'm done with you, I'll do to your face what the Republicans are trying to do to the welfare budget of this country. It'll be huge.
It'll be a huge gash across your face.
Yeah.
George.
Yeah, George. What the Republicans are trying to do to food stamps, I will do to your head and your face and your upper body if you ever disrespect me again. No, but he's exactly right. Okay, this guy has been, at this point, he's kind of, he's caucuses with the Democrats. He has a national profile. But for most of his political career, this guy's an outsider. This guy's an independent. This guy's a socialist. This guy has no credibility. This guy is off the wall. Even though, again, he was always just talking about issues that he was right about, that he was head of the curve on, that should be the mainstream and any reasonable Democratic Party: universal health care, combating inequality, investing in infrastructure, reversing the climate crisis, social justice, all of these obvious things. And I love how he answers that question.